afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Thursday. Come to our live, Marichelle and Ria's 6. We talk about the hours, Marichelle. Today is your favorite topic. I know this is your favorite topic. Is set up your boundaries.
Yes. Hi, Ria. Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to talk to everybody about setting up healthy boundaries, because everything we've been sharing so far is about how we become more authentic using our system of self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-integrity, self-responsibility, self-confidence. But guess what? If you don't have healthy boundaries, nothing will work in your life. And why is that, right? You have to protect your...
Yes. Set up the boundary is super important. I think many of us sometimes feel like they don't want to do something, but they feel a bit pushed, or even they don't do this when people ask, especially good friends or family ask something to do, then you don't have that, really don't want to do it, but you feel guilty if you said no, right? So then how to release that guilty, then people knowing you don't want to do it, then they understanding, then you feel good. That is the good, healthy boundaries. So that's why we talk about the set up the health boundary is really can help you have more clear how to manage your life going to more healthy way.
Yeah, because I guess the most important thing to keep in your mind is what's going to happen if I don't have healthy boundaries, right? Or you can just look around or see the negative things that happens to you. And if you dig in a little bit, you may probably find that it's a matter of boundaries. For example, like I have clients or friends who share, how stressful they feel at work because their bosses or someone just put something else, one more responsibilities on their plate, for example, and then they feel overwhelmed. Too many things to do at the same time, right? And that's a problem of boundaries, because if you know your limitations and you have the self-confidence to say, I know my limits, I cannot do everything at the same time. This is a realistic plan that I can do. And when you think about the consequence, then you become more present in your needs and in the building of healthy boundaries.
Today we will be share the 7 types of the boundaries. That is really important. If you put that on your calendar or put that in your daily, each day, you look at these 7 boundaries. Then these 7 boundaries will have your mental boundaries, emotional boundary, then your material boundary, your internal boundary, then your conversational boundary, your physical boundary. Did I say time boundary?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, that's 7 boundaries. Today, Marichelle and me will be share some of these boundaries with you. How do we can set up this boundary with that clear, then you feel good, then you can manage better of your life, and also people who around you feel good, they understanding, they support with you. I think the number 1 thing is really important here is about the emotional boundary. Marichelle, this one I let you share. How do you set up your emotional boundaries? That's more important to around you, so you don't get the emotional stress. Then people around you also to understanding they got support, and then in the same time you got support.
Yeah, sure. So emotional boundary is when you are able to set up limitations to your availability or the way you present yourself to the world, to other people, preserving your reservoir of emotional peace. So, for example, I took the whole day yesterday to do some shopping with one of my daughters. And there was a moment that I was very overwhelmed with the situation, and I just needed to recharge and, set back and basically, reset my emotional state. And she approached me asking me if it would be a good idea to buy or to do whatever. And I remember at that moment, I was like, I had a choice to continue to, proceed with her request. But instead, I knew my limitations. I knew that I was not in a mental space, in an emotional state to say yes. So I said, you know what? Not at this moment. So let's take a little break and let's think about it. Because when you are overwhelmed with emotions, when you are stressed out, your decisions are not good quality, right? So it's important to know that how we work with our emotions, with our stress, and create a little space that will give us that reset. It's like when you reset your computer, so that emotional resetting. So yeah, I'm glad I did, because we went, instead of keep buying things that we didn't need, we just took a break. We went for lunch, enjoy the moment. And then at the end, we're, no, we don't need that, so we make better decisions when we respect our boundaries.
That is beautiful. I think that's wonderful. To end up, when you have boundaries, then people who are around you and yourself, both, can enjoy what you guys to doing. Emotional boundary is super important. Yeah. And now I like to share the one for me is really important, that internal boundaries. So what does internal boundary mean with all of us? For me, the internal boundary is how to taking care inside myself. How is like your emotional, your mental, all of that. But what is my heart feel? That's internal. And also in the internal, how do I create the space for myself? Then, like I love the meditation. I do meditation daily. Then I like go for the walk. Then sometimes when I walk in that nature, it's not just enjoy nature. I aware about the 5 elements around myself. So that's internal boundaries. When sometimes I set up, I have my routine to doing that sense. When sometimes the friends come and say, hey, just stop meditation today. How about go have a drink with me? I said, okay, I love drink, but that is my time for my meditation time. Not say I meditation all the time with the friend. Just say I have my boundaries set up, that quiet time I want to be with myself. Then sometimes my friends was really great to say, oh, Ria, I know you are upset. Is here anything I can do for you? Maybe we can go do something. But for me, that time, really, I need to take time to meditating, look what is in my thoughts, to connect with my heart, have my own time. That boundary I will be set up very nicely, then tell my friends, thank you so much for your support, but this time I need just alone by myself. So that is my internal boundaries.
Yeah, totally. It's so hard, right? It's so hard to do it, but it feels so good after you protected your need. And that's awesome, because that's how we build self-esteem. Without boundaries, there's no self-esteem. Without boundaries, there's no self-growth. So time, since you mentioned, is really big, because I have that challenge all the time. At night when we're watching some kind of show on TV with my husband, and then we put an alarm and it sounds, and they're like, oh, but the chapter is not over. Let's just see what happened. Let's watch until the end. And no, you know what? the consequence of not respecting my own boundaries in regards of my time that I dedicate to watch TV, the consequence will be tomorrow when I will feel exhausted, when it will be so hard for me to wake up and do my daily activities, right? So it is important, super important. And the more you set it up, the more you respect your boundaries, the better quality of, relationship you have with yourself, which in other words, it's your self-esteem, because you are doing what you're saying to yourself you will do.
Yeah, then talk about the time, talk about the internal, talk about the emotion. Now we have one really important boundary is about the mental. So the mental boundary is super important. So many times we cut off in the thoughts, but many times the thoughts is really not ours. It's somebody said something about yourself, right? Then people said something about yourself that's stuck in your mind. You will think, oh, is that really is me, or is that not me? So how do you taking care you mentally, that boundary, mental importance, that is about the self-talk, the self-criticism. Then set up the boundary, you do more like affirmation instead self-criticism. When somebody said something to you, so maybe someone said something triggered you, the person, they didn't know. Right? So
they didn't have the intention. They didn't
have an intention, but you already get a warning up, the mad or sad or whatever is that. Just be aware that is your emotional boundary. When you hear something that triggered you, maybe you take a little bit of the time, then let that go, then tell yourself to practice in the mirror, like Marcia and I teaching the exercise before. When you look at the mirror, what do you tell yourself? Each morning I go look at the mirror, I saw my hair is messy, all of that things I go say, so messy, oh my gosh, I'm so ugly. Then quickly I will say, stop, Ria. Okay, look at the mirror again and tell myself is, wow, Ria, you are so wonderful because you have the loving, compassion heart.
Right.
Just saying that emotionally, also mentally give you that energy, that boundary is super important.
Absolutely. And that's why, all we talked before, self-awareness, you need to know who you really are. So when people tell you something that differs from what you are, then you create a boundary and say, that's not like me. And it doesn't matter if your mom or your dad or whoever told you, it could be the president, I don't know. If it's not you, you only decide who you are, right?
Yes.
And that self-talk and the what you believe of who you are is actually what matters.
Yeah. So then we talk about the marriage. Can you talk about another boundaries? We talk about conversational. I know you like that one also.
Yeah, and
conversational boundaries.
Yeah. It's like I can't help myself, but always looking around me when and where I see opportunities to apply what we're learning together, Ria. And the social peer or the peer pressure that our kids are having by being exposed to social media, right? That is affecting the mental health of our kids. And even us adults, how many times you go and you see, oh, they're not following me, oh, this post didn't have any like, or things like that. Do not let anything that comes from social media or the internet to alter or affect what you believe of yourself, of who you are. If you let that, if you keep that door open, then you're basically, not respecting yourself and not setting up those boundaries, and people will judge all the time, and it's gonna, suck your energy and your self-confidence. So my advice, and I try to tell, my daughters, they are teenagers, to be very careful about social and peer pressure, and what they share, what they don't share, and how do they react to other people's, judgment on virtual or in the internet.
Yes. About the conversational also is when you're going to have some argument or disagree with your friends or with your family or with anybody. So that conversational maybe at that moment couldn't go anywhere because you both disagree. So how do you set up that boundary? Not get mad, walk away, say, okay, I'm disagree with that since you are not right. So the conversational boundary is at that moment, maybe you just really decide, okay, so I can see we are not in the same page at this moment. Let's just stop here now. So maybe we changing the topic, or maybe we come back later again to see how is that.
We let the other person know, I don't feel comfortable talking about that right now. It's totally be honest, be open.
Yes, definitely. So that's we talk about next boundaries is physical boundary. So physical boundary is really important. How do you set up the physical boundary? For me, I like my physical boundary is every day, I like at least take a 15 to 30 minutes walk. So the walking for me, how to connect with nature, like I said, and then how to just, aware when I'm walking in the nature, I like hug the tree. That the tree is giving me the physical touch that help me more grounded. And then also physical boundary can be some people, like I'm the hugger, I'm big hugger. Then some people doesn't like much hug, but if they tell me, okay, I'm sorry, so they take back a little bit, I don't feel be rejected, right? I still say, okay, I respect your space.
Exactly.
So I always ask that physical boundary is super important for us also.
Yeah, what came to my mind since we're talking about physical or material boundaries? I remember when I used to work in a corporate, there was a kitchen where there was a fridge and everybody would save, their lunch inside that fridge. But sometimes you would go open the door and your lunch would be empty and nobody knew anything about it. So I learned my lesson and then I started using tags, so I would just put my name and that helps. So, set up boundaries. Letting other people know what's yours, what is your way, what is your need, what is it you want.
Here is very cool. The 7 boundaries, the platform Marichelle created for all of us. Look at this. I love these pictures. I know we said we have 7 type of the boundaries. Today we talk about emotional, the internal, conversational, physical, mental. So we have the time and the material. We didn't talk about much, but the time is already end. 20 minutes for today of ours conversation. So
Perfect.
All of this, you can take the photo shot, a screenshot of this, then read a little bit more about what is this 7 boundaries. I hope this will help you to set up your boundaries. And if you're interested to learn more, Marichelle and Ria's the 6 step of how to be authentic self, living with your true self, living with your full potential. There is a great way to manifest in your life.
Awesome. Thank you, Ria. It was such a fun project we did together. I hope it's very useful and that people can get value from our conversations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. I will see you next time. We will have another project of this coming soon. Thank you, everybody.